Any questions from anyone, please? So we completed 3 sessions. In first session, we discussed about the meaning of Oracle and what we are going to learn from the financials, the relevant points we discussed. In the second session, we discussed on what is the meaning of Fusion and Cloud. The third session, we have seen how to create the user and what roles need to be assigned. We discussed and we did the same in the instance. Also, we discussed about FSM, Functional Setup Manager. By using the Functional Setup Manager, what are the different tasks we have to perform? Those are the points we discussed. And within the FSM, all the product families we call as offerings and different applications we call as options. So this is what we completed so far. Before we proceed with the next step, any questions from anyone, please? Any questions, please? Okay, no questions. Great. Now, let's see how to enable the offerings and options. The very fresh instance, when we are working as a finance functional consultant, the first task is we have to create our own user. The next task is we have to enable the offerings and options. What are the offerings and options are part of implementation scope. Those all we have to enable within the instance. Let's see how to enable. So, fine. Go to instance. To enable offerings and options, click on username. I think we created separate user in the last session, right? Let's log into the instance with that user. That user got full privileges. The username is Amex. So connect to the instance as Amex user. To Amex user, we assigned roles called as Application Implementation Consultant and IT Security Manager. These 2 roles we assigned. Now, click on username. Here you can see one task called as Setup and Maintenance. Click on Setup and Maintenance task. And in this page, you can perform the setups. That's what we discussed. From the same page, we have to enable the offerings and options. Here is the drop down for different actions. Select actions drop down. And one of the action you could see as a go to offerings. One of the action is go to offerings. Click on go to offerings. So these are the different offerings available in this instance. You can see all the offerings which are available in this instance. Your client may take the subscription for 1 or 2 offerings, but still you can see all these offerings in every instance. But we are not supposed to use. If your client has taken the subscription for 3 offerings, we have to implement only 3. Even multiple offerings are available, we should not use those. Here is the financials offering. You can just click on the icon. Don't click on the name. It will take you to the different page. Just click on the icon. Click on financials offering. And here right side, you can see what we have as a part of this financials offering. You can see that information. So within the financials, we have assets, nothing but fixed assets, ledgers. It means general ledger application and cash cycle, cash management. Cash cycle means cash management. Invoices and payments. Here you can see invoices and payments. And here is the account receivable. Okay, that they give a direct name. And collections, separate application. And set up subledger accounting. It is not an application. This is one of the concept. We'll see, we'll have one session on that concept. And tax configuration. These all are part of financials. Not only this, we have a fusion expense. Expense application also part of financials. Okay, expense application also part of financials. So this is how we have a different options inside of financials. Financials is one of the offering. Inside of financials, we have a different options. Options nothing but applications. Assets, ledger means general ledger, cash cycle means cash management, invoices payment means payables application. Here is the account receivables application and collections application and the subledger application. It is subledger accounting setup. It is not an application, it's a concept. Tax configuration. So even they are not giving the name in this section, we have expense also, one of the application within the finance. And here you could see the financials offering is enabled. Since this is the instance we are using for practice, this is already enabled. In case of fresh instance, you can see the status as not enabled. When you see the status as not enabled, what we have to do is we have to click on opt-in features. Okay, we have to click on opt-in features. Just wait for a moment. It will take us to the financial offering, the definition, how Oracle is providing. So you can enable the financials offering. Inside of the financials offering, what are the different options and sub options are available, you can enable. If you enable the offerings and options, those you can select into your implementation project. Here you can see, so financials is the offering name. So by default, it would be disabled mode. You can enable it. And if you enable financials, automatically general ledger application can be enabled. You no need to enable. Okay, there is no option for us to enable. So without general ledger, you cannot use finance applications. Within the financials offering, if you want to use any application, general ledger application is mandatory. Without general ledger application, you cannot use finance. So whenever you enable financials, automatically system will enable general ledger. If you are going to implement payables application, this is the option you have to enable. Supplier invoice processing. Supplier invoice processing is nothing but payables application. They are not giving the name as a accounts payable. The name what they are giving is supplier invoice processing. It means payables application. Along with within the financials, if you are going to implement payables application for your client, you have to enable it. Okay, you have to enable it. And within the payables, these all are part. Suppliers, payables means invoices, payments means payments, and cash management, where you can maintain the bank accounts. These all are part of Oracle payables application. The same they are giving name as a supplier invoice processing. So within this supplier invoice processing, you could see the different sub options. You don't have any choice to choose these options. You have to enable payables, then you get all these along with the payables. The other application is expense. You can call as fusion expense. Okay, expense management, the application name. And if you are going to implement expense application for the client, you have to enable it. And fixed assets. You have to enable fixed assets to implement fixed assets. Customer invoice processing. It is nothing but accounts receivable application. When you enable customer invoice processing, system will default receivables. Here you can create invoices and receipts. cash management for bank account purpose, items. When you are selling anything to customer, which item you are selling, that item information we have to select in the receivables. The items we create in inventory, but you can access those items from receivables application. And collections, to implement the collection process. Once you sell to the customer, there should be a collection process where collector can follow up the customer. They can identify who is paying on time, who is not paying on time. They have to follow up. They have to send certain letters related to that. To do the customer follow-up process, we have a collections function as a part of receivables application. So these all are part of receivables. The receivables application name they are giving as customer invoice processing. When you say customer invoice processing, it is nothing but account receivable application. If you enable this, you will get all this by default. Collections, if you want to implement, you can enable, or else if you are not implementing, you can leave it. The same way, some different sub functions also available: revenue management, intercompany, budgetary control, encumbrance, and BI, business intelligence analytics. You can run the analytics, you can analyze the data. So these all are part of, okay, financials. Reality, what we do is when you do the implementation, so within the financials, what are the different options we have? We enable all. Whatever you want to implement, you can implement. Okay, you no need to go and choose what need to be enabled. When you are enabling, you can enable entire financials, and within the financials, you can enable the different options and sub options, whatever available. As a part of project scope, you can do the setups and you can implement the relevant applications. So this is what we have to understand. So along with this, here you can see features. These additionally you no need to enable. By default, when we implement financials, what need to be enabled, you are getting within this feature by enabling mode. Separately, you no need to go and enable until unless you are going to implement few additional applications which will work on top of financials application. Say governance, risk and complaints. This is separate applications which we call as RMC, risk management cloud applications. Okay, RMC applications, risk management cloud application. You can call as a GRC, governance, risk and complaints, or you can call it as RMC, risk management cloud applications. Within that, we have a AAC, advanced, okay, application controls, AFC, advanced functional controls, FRC, financial reporting controls. Those are three subparts you have within the GRC application, or you can say RMC application. If client is going to implement that, ensure that that is enabled. That's how you can enable. Even client is not going to implement, if it is there as by default as enabled, there won't be any issue with that. Okay. So ideally, you don't need to enable. If anything is missing as per the business requirement and implementation, what you are doing, those you can enable here. Accordingly, those will start functioning along with the financials. Okay, by default, you no need to enable in these features. So whatever applicable, Oracle is enabling. On top of it, anything else you are going to implement, which is a part of features, you can come to this page and you can enable. But by default, you no need to do anything. Just for information, you can take a note. So this is how you can enable a specific offering, and within the offering, you can enable the different options and certain sub options also you can enable. When you are part of real-time implementation, what you can do is you enable offering. Inside of offering, what are the options we have, everything you enable. If you are not going to implement fixed assets, no worries, you are not going to do fixed asset related setups. If it is enabled here, there is no harm. Okay, there won't be any challenge. So you can enable here. Since you are not going to implement, you don't do fixed asset related setups as a part of your implementation. So this is how you can enable offerings and inside of the offering options, just click on done. We'll go to procurement offering and we'll see as a part of procurement offering, what are the different options are available just for our information purpose. Here is the procurement. Click on procurement icon. Don't click on the name. Just click on this procurement icon. Now click on opt-in features. So inside of the procurement offering, what are the different options are available? We'll see that. Okay, inside of the procurement offering, what are the different options are available? We'll go through. So within the procurement, the key application is purchasing application. Within the procurement, the key or primary application is purchasing. Along with the purchasing application, we have a different applications which we call as options. Procurement we call as offering. Within the procurement, what are the different applications we have? Those all we call as a options. Now you can see here the procurement offering is already enabled in this instance. If it is not enabled, just you can click and it will get selected. That's what we call as enabling. And within the procurement, we have a purchasing application. And along with the purchasing, we have application called as self-service procurement. Okay, self-service procurement. You can call as iProcurement. iProcurement means, so you can purchase anything from the supplier online. You take Amazon or Flipkart. So you are going to buy online. You're going to select everything into your cart and it is completely online process. You are not calling to your supplier, or you are not sending email, or you are not sending any message to supplier saying that you please send so and so goods to me. No, they are keeping everything available online. You can see which items are available with the supplier, how much stock is available. Everything you can see live, and you can place the order, and accordingly supplier will ship that items to our location. So such kind of process can be enabled with a self-service procurement. You can call as iProcurement. That is another application. If you are going to follow offline process where you send the purchase order and the supplier will supply the material, then that comes under purchasing. If you want to buy something from supplier through online process, that you can call as self-service procurement. You are taking the initiative to procure something. You are not waiting for the supplier to respond. And within the procurement, they included purchasing payables application also. Okay, if any client wants to use so payables application along with the procurement, if they are not going to use other applications, this can be useful. Anyway, this is a part of payables. Even if it is not going to be in the procurement, there won't be an issue. And there is another application called as supplier portal. You can call it as iSupplier. So with this, what we can do is, so supplier can upload the invoices in this portal and we can access those invoices. Otherwise, there will be offline communication. Supplier will send invoice email through email, or there will be purchase order kind of process also through offline. So if you want to online everything, the communication with the supplier, like related to purchase orders, invoices, if you want to online the communication with the supplier, this application can be useful. This is a part of purchasing or procurement. And sourcing application. If you want to buy something from any supplier, so before you finalize the supplier, you have to perform sourcing activities. You talk to the multiple suppliers, you explain about your requirement, and you will ask for the quotations. They'll give the quotations, you do analysis. So that's how you have to perform the sourcing related activities to identify the right suppliers. So to manage that complete engagement of the sourcing activities, including quotation process and all, you can use the application called as sourcing as a part of procurement solution. The same way, procurement contracts. If you are going to have a contract with the suppliers related to procurement, you can manage here. And supplier qualification, it's a pure like procurement related activities. So these all are part of procurement offering. Within the procurement, we have a purchasing application, we have a payables also, but anyway, payables is part of financials, and we have a supplier portal, which you can call as iSupplier, and sourcing application and supplier qualification procurement contracts. These all are part of procurement solution. When we do the implementation, this all can be managed by procurement consultant. Being a finance consultant, we no need to touch anything from this procurement options. This all can be managed and implemented by procurement consultant. So just for your information, we are trying to understand what are the different options or applications we have inside of procurement. So here also same, like you can click on futures, entire procurement level, or specific application level also you can click on edit option, so that it will display the features which need to be enabled. You can enable, which are not required to be enabled as per business requirement. You no need to touch those, but by default, everything would be enabled as we require. So this is how you can find the offerings and options. This is how you can find the offerings and options. In fresh implementation, we have to enable. In this instance, already enabled. Just how to enable? Simple, just only one click. You have to go to specific offering. You have to click on enable, that would get enabled. There is no additional steps need to be followed. So that's all about the offerings and options, how to enable. So when we talk about these offerings and options, what Oracle is doing is, Oracle is providing certain documents to understand about that offering and options. Okay, so let me close this, click on done. For every offering, they are providing certain documentation, but that would be so early to go through and understand. But for your information, let me walk through. Select financials offering. Okay, select financials offering. So when you select financials offering, here you can see financials section. Inside of financials, what we have, you can find here. And here you can see the related document section. Expand it. So if you are going to implement financials, what are the different features are available as a part of financials? For that, Oracle is providing one document. The document is available in the different formats: PDF, HTML, Excel format. These are the different formats the document is available, and other document is available as a task list and tasks. So to implement the financial application, what are the different setups you have to perform in the system? All you can see as a task list and task. Okay, task list and task you can see. So those also available in the different formats. The related business objects, related enterprise application, this is not useful information for us. Okay, when you are practicing, you can download this document, you can go through, but by going through this, you are not going to understand anything. Once we start working on the system, once we start doing the setups, if you open those documents, those makes sense. Now, just for information I'm sharing, now you no need to go through, you no need to touch those documents. If you want to have a look, you can download and you can go through those documents, but it would be so early to understand all those points. Once we start doing the setups, you will be able to understand what is there in those documents. I don't recommend to go through these documents as of now. Maybe after completing few classes, you can download those documents and you can go through. So that's all about the related documents what we have. So by clicking on opt-in features, you can go and enable the offerings and options. And here is a section called as new features. If you click on new features, you can see what is the latest release Oracle introduced, that you can see. The latest one is 23B. Not only from here, you can see the instance related release from here. Click on username. In this panel, click on about this application. Just click on about this application. Here you can see 23B and 11.13.23.0.04.0. So what we have to understand from this version, what Oracle is providing here. So 11 is constant always. 11 is constant, that you can call as Fusion version. Before Fusion, we have a 11i and release 12. But Fusion applications, they introduced with 11g. Okay, 11g. 11g is the database version also, but for Fusion applications, they given 11g as a version. When in case of Fusion applications, we don't refer Fusion applications with a version. Always we refer with release. So here is the release. 13. 13 is the latest release in the Fusion applications. Before 13, we have a release 12, release 11, release 10, release 9. Most of the companies have started using the Fusion applications right from release 7. Few companies implemented Fusion applications for release 7. Later, Oracle released release 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now we are standing at release 13. And with the 13 release, how latest instance is this? What is the latest patch is applied? That you can find here. You can see 23. 23 means it refers year. From 2023 year, they are taking suffix. 23 means that is a year. And in the 2023 year, when they applied the latest patch on this instance, 04. 04 means April. So every quarter they apply the patch. First quarter Jan to March, they applied the patch. The second quarter also they applied the patch. Now we entered into third quarter. Okay, third quarter. Very soon they will apply the patch. So that's how you can find out the instance, how latest that release you are accessing. And what is this 23B? 23, as we discussed, this is a year. B means the patch. First quarter patch, they represent as A. Second quarter is B. Third quarter C. Fourth quarter is D. So that's how that patch, whatever the latest patch they applied, that you can see. If somebody says we are using 23B, that means release 13. 23B means second quarter patch is applied in the year 2023. So this is how you can find out the release of instance. Now all companies are using release 13 only. So within the 13, what is the latest patch applied? The patch Oracle applies to fix some issues or to add some additional functionalities, to introduce some new functionalities, or the amendments, the changes, what they are doing to existing functionalities, to reflect those changes in our instance. They apply the patches quarterly based. Okay, so every quarter they apply the patches that will help in our instance to fix certain bugs. Bugs means some programming related issues. Some bugs are kind of issues to introduce some new functionalities. Those all can be added into the environment what we are using for our client. So this is how you can verify how latest the instance you are using. And if you click on new features, in the latest release, what are the changes are applicable you can find. So most of the changes Oracle done, finance application is very much stabilized. If some small changes, some field level, small enhancements, if they are doing, that can be listed here, that you can go through and you can understand. Once you learn this course, when you see this, you can understand, okay, what they are adding in which application, what field they are adding, what purpose they are adding that field, what tab they are adding, or else if they are introducing small function, what purpose, everything you can see and you can understand. So that's how you can get to know by clicking on these new features. So this is all about understanding offerings and options. We have seen how to enable offerings and options. And here you could see related documents. In each offering, what options or sub options are available, you can see. So we discussed many product families here: financials, SCM, HCM, PPM, procurement. Let's see those offerings are available as a part of this offerings list. So if you talk about SCM, supply chain management, Oracle is not introducing SCM as a financials. Means financials they are giving as one offering, but SCM they are not giving as a single offering. The reason, when Oracle introduced financials offering, they introduced at a time. But the SCM, supply chain management solution, they did not introduce at a time. What they did is, they introduced that solution phase by phase. Initially, they introduced inventory application. Later, they introduced order management application. And later, they introduced procurement. From procurement, we have a purchasing application, which you can include as a part of SCM. But reality, SCM means inventory and order management. These two applications only. But we just ideally, we include purchasing also as a part of it. If you want to implement SCM, we no need to implement. If SCM consultant is going to implement supply chain management solution for any client, what they have to do is, they have to include this order management. They have to enable order management, the offering, and they have to enable product management. Product management will support inventory application. And procurement also we have to enable, so that from procurement we can select purchasing application. Product management we can use for inventory related setups. Order management for order management process. If you combine these three, that you can call as SCM, or else at least order management and product management, if you combine that, also you can call as SCM, supply chain management. And another offering is HCM, human capital management. Human capital management also they are not giving as a single offering. They split it into two parts that you can see here. So here you can see workforce development and workforce deployment. Okay, workforce development and workforce deployment. These two put together we call as HCM, human capital management. Directly they are not giving the name as HCM solution, like how they given name for financials and procurement. They are not giving the name as a HCM, because some companies may go with only workforce development. Few companies may go with workforce deployment, where you can manage the employees information and others. You can run the payrolls and you can manage the options and talent related to those applications. Those all are part of these different offerings, and inside of those we have a different options. Okay, so here is a workforce development. Okay, so workforce development, within that workforce development, what we have, you can maintain the employee goals, employee performance, employee profiles. As a part of workforce deployment, what we have, like employment information and payroll information. If any company wants to implement basic HCM, they can go with workforce deployment. With workforce deployment, they can implement HR application and they can implement payroll application. Along with these HR and payroll application, if they want to implement applications like goals, options, talent, and few other applications, they can implement workforce development. Okay, the basic applications are workforce deployment. So advanced applications within HCM, you can say workforce development. If required, they can implement. So these two you have to combine to call it as HCM solution. The same way, PPM, project portfolio management. So for project portfolio management, for PPM also, they are not giving the single offering name. So they are giving the separate sub options, sub offerings. Here you can see project execution management, project financial management. So with the project financial management, you can manage project related financials. What are the projects you are doing? How much cost you are incurring? Say you are constructing on building. How much cost you are incurring for that building? And that building you are constructing for your client. So how much cost you are incurring? How much you have to bill to the customer? What contract you have customer? So the activities are the information which deals with the financials that too related to project that you can track by using the project financial management. By using the project execution management, you can deal with the project management. You can schedule the project activity. You can align the resource and other task management. Many other activities you can deal with a project execution management. Okay, that's how we have a project financial management and project execution management. So these two put together we call as PPM, project portfolio management. If you select project financial management, you can see inside of it what we have. What we have inside of it, you can create the projects and you can maintain the budgets. Okay. Okay. So as a part of financials management, project financial management, so you can manage the projects, you can create the projects and you can maintain the project plan, how you are going to execute the project, and you can define the project related budgets and you can create the forecast and you can just collect the cost. You can track the project related cost and you can bill to the customer and you can generate the performance reports. So these all are part of financial management. And here we have project execution management. As a part of project execution management, what are the projects you created and you are incurring the cost, you are doing the billing. So those projects you can execute here. Executing means you can align the resource and you can set up the deliverables, timelines, all those you can maintain. And the project, you can manage the project related requirements and you can schedule the project related activities. Okay. And collaboration of tasks and staff resource for the project and project related issues resolving and completing the deliverables. What is the objective of the project? This all you can manage by using the execution management. Simply you can say here and here in both cases we'll have a project that is a common, and the difference is with the finance management, project finance management, you can track the cost to perform, to do that project, how much cost you are incurring, for which customers you are doing the project, and how you are billing to the customers, and what are the contracts you have with those customers. That information you can manage with the financial management. When you talk about execution management, which resources are working, what deliverables you are going to complete through that project, what is the target of the project, and what are the issues you have with that project. When you are running the project, you may come across with issues, like it could be, say, 2 resources are left from the project, that is treated as issue, how to resolve it, and which task we need to complete by which date, and what are the various activities we have to perform to complete this project, to execute the project, or there could be different phases in the project. This all can be aligned very, very detailed. So these two we call as PPM, project portfolio management. So this is how we have a different offerings, and inside of offering we have a different options. So this is what we have to understand about offerings and options. Any questions here from anyone, please? Any questions from anyone, please?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, great. Fine. Now let's see how to create the implementation project. Okay, first we have to enable offerings and options in every instance. Yes, that we have seen from where to enable and how to enable. So once offering and options are available, you can create implementation project. So when you create implementation project, if these offerings and options are not enabled, you cannot select anything into this implementation project. You cannot select any offerings and options into this implementation project. Before you create implementation project, it is a mandatory, you have to enable the offerings and options now. So click on done to exit from this page. To create the implementation project, you can go to task list, or else you can take the navigation. So if to create implementation project, first you have to click on username, then click on setup and maintenance task. And we are landing in this FSM homepage, functional setup manager homepage. Now click on task list, or you can call it as task pan. It contains multiple tasks. So what is our target? Implementation project creation. Click on manage implementation projects. Click on manage implementation projects. So when we are working for any client, in this page, you don't see single project also. So this page would be blank. So we have to create the first project. We have to create the very first project. Let's see how to create the project. So in the last session also we discussed how many projects we have to create. If we are going to implement financials or along with the financials, SCM, HCM, PPM, whatever the offerings are in the scope, irrespective of offering, how many projects we have to create. You may create single project for multiple countries, or else for each country you can create separate project. It doesn't make any difference. Doesn't make any difference. With the project, our target is completing the setups. That is the meaning of implementation project, which we are going to deal within the instance. So when we talk about what is implementation project, that we will see that is a different process. But within the implementation, one of the activities doing the setups, to perform those setups, here we are going to create the implementation project in the system. The implementation project, what we create in the system for the purpose of doing the setups, for the purpose of performing the setups. This is what we have to understand. Now click on create. And here you can give the name. So we are going to create the project called as Amex. Let's take the client name as Amex, American Express. Yes, they already implemented Oracle applications. So let's take the same name for our training purpose. So Amex I am taking as a prefix. The rest of name, it's already defaulted as implementation project. You can remove this number. Okay, you can remove this number. The same name, it will be defaulted. So seems to somebody created Amex. No worries, I'll give Amex. This is the name I'll take. Or else let me take the name as Max. Let's use this name. Or it also already exists. Okay. Okay, I'll use this name. Okay. Amex, I'm taking here XX. So the name what we are giving, the same system is defaulting here. Okay. So since we did some alignment update, it is not taking that you can update. So provide name, the same system is defaulting as a project code and a project description. If you look at this project status, the status is not started. Yes, we not started doing the setups from this implementation project, just we are creating. We are creating this implementation project from the user called as Amex. Here you can see the user as Amex. So the same user, the project is being assigned. We are not selecting. By default, system is selecting the project to be assigned to Amex. Assigning project to the user is not mandatory. You can see the field is optional. If you don't want to assign, you can keep it as a blank. And again, it is not mandatory also. So if you want to assign to other user, yes, you can go to search. Okay, here you can select the value as a search. You can find out existing users and you can assign to any user. Say I want to assign to ERPTREE user. Select and say OK. Okay, assign to ERPTREE user. And start date. So start date. What is a tentative project start date? Means from when you are going to perform the setups, that you can give the start date and by which date you are going to complete the setups. Maybe say by 20th, we are going to complete the setup. You can give some tentative date, later you can change it. Okay, the assignment also you can change at any point of time. Let me assign to Amex only. So this is how you can provide the project related basic information. You can provide the name, the same system will default as a code and description. And by default status is not started. After creating implementation project, you can update the status and you can assign the project to any one of the user. Reality, we are going to create the implementation project. Don't think project manager will create the implementation project. No. Who knows how to create the implementation project within the Fusion instance, they can create. Always as a finance functional consultant, we can create. If not we, SCM consultant or HCM or PPM, any functional consultant can create implementation project. It is not mandatory. Project need to be created by project manager. This project is not the big picture of actual project, what we do as a part of real-time implementation project. This project is limited to setups. So who has to perform the setups? Consultant. So consultant can create this implementation project. After providing these details, you can add offerings and options into this project. If you want to create the empty project, you can click on save and open project so that system will create the empty project. You can add offerings and options. If you want to include offerings and options during this implementation project, you can click on next. Okay, you can click on next. In the next step itself, you can include which offerings and options we are going to implement for the client. So before we proceed with the next step, any questions here, please? Any questions, please?
Lakshman, here we need to give the name is name of the company or anything else?
Name of the company always.
Okay.
Just you can take the company name only, client name. Any other questions here, please?
And so regarding this assign to option, so let's say we are creating different implementation projects, one for finance and one for supply chain and one for HCM. So in that case, this will be.
So we don't create projects offering wise. Okay. We never create project offering wise. We create project, we include all the offerings and options into same project. So if you are a finance consultant, you will be working on financials offering. If I'm a SCM consultant, I'll be focusing on SCM related setups. That's how we have to work on the relevant, but we no need to create. We never create projects offering wise.
Okay, and then what is the purpose of this assign to? Why is it optional?
But optional, see, it's optional. Why it is optional? There is no benefit out of it. Just for information purpose, you can use it. Say the project is assigned to Amex. If you assign the project to Amex, other users also can work on this project. There is no control. Okay, there is no control, just for information. If you are making someone to be responsible to look after the project, you may select that person name as assigned to. That person will have a responsibility of tracking the progress of the project or just looking after this project. In that context, that makes sense. Otherwise, there is no use of assign to specific user entire project. Within the project, whatever the offerings and options we have, those you can assign to the team members. Finance you can assign to finance consultant, SCM you can assign to SCM consultant, PPM to PPM consultant, or else if finance is going to be implemented by 2 or 3 consultants, which consultant is going to work on which application, that you can assign accordingly. That's how it works. Here it doesn't make any sense. That is the reason they made it as optional. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So any questions, please? Okay. So no questions. Now click on next. If you click on next, what system will do is within this instance, how many offerings and options are already enabled? How many offerings and options are already enabled? Only those it will display. If you don't enable financials offering here, you are not going to see financials offering. If you enable, that will be displayed here so that you can include financials into our implementation purpose. Okay, as a part of implementation project, you can include into our project. So that is the reason we enabled offerings and options. Say we are going to implement financials. Here is the financials offering. Here we are able to see financials. Reason financials offering was enabled. We have seen the previous step. We verified financial offering was enabled or not. So financials offering was enabled. So that is the reason we are able to see here now. So here you can click on include. Just click on include. So financials, okay, financials we included, and within the financials, what are the different applications we are going to implement, those also you can include. We are going to include into our project. Here you don't see general ledger application. If you include financials, you will get general ledger application by default. So let's include everything what we have as a part of financials. Whatever you want to implement, you can implement. Everything we are going to include. So supplier invoice processing means payables application, expense application, fixed assets, separate application, and receivables application. So whatever you see within the financials offering, everything you can include. So mostly within the financial offering, you can see the options. Rest few you could see, those are the different features or functionalities. Just include everything. Whatever you see within the financials, include. When we deal with those, you can understand. Just include everything. Done.
Lakshman, what is this financial business intelligence analytics?
You can get that analysis. You can get the finance related data for BA analysis purpose.
Okay.
You can just conduct. We'll see, like there is a BA analysis. I include it as one of the concept. There we'll see how we can get the real-time data for data analysis for any application.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is how you can include. Now I'm collapsing this. Already everything is included. So along with this, if you want to include procurement also, say your client is going to implement financials and procurement, you can include. Will be responsible for finance. The procurement consultant will be working on procurement applications. Since we are creating project, we can include procurement, include purchasing. So include whatever we have. There is no issue if you include additional offerings or options. If you have a subscription, you can include and you can implement. If you don't have subscription, you no need to include. Even if you include, there is no issue. Anyway, you are not going to implement. Just you can include this. So this is how you can include. Now click on save and close. Okay, we included. Let's discuss. So we enabled offerings and options, and we created implementation project, and we included or we added offerings and options into implementation project. Now what system will do is system will create task list. System creates task list. Okay, system creates task list. So what does it mean by task list? What we included into our project, financials and procurement. Okay, so financials and procurement. These are the two offerings we included. So to implement financials and procurement, what setups need to be performed? What setups need to be performed? Those setups system will list out. It is not going to complete the setups. It will list out. If you want to implement financials, these are the setups you have to do. It is not going to list out the complete financial related setups in the sequence. It is going to list out the setups application wise. It will list out the setups for payables, receivables, assets, cash management, general ledger, and for other applications. It will list out and it will group all those setups with the folders. Then you can go and see if you want to implement payables application, what setups need to be performed in the system. You can see and you can understand. Accordingly, you can start doing the setups. So that's how system is going to create the setups. Now system created project. You see, whatever we selected, it is available within the project. So this is our project, Amex implementation project. So this is the basic information we provided. Two offerings we selected, those are procurement and financials. If you want to remove any offering at any point of time, you can remove. You can remove and you can add any point of time. In between, whatever the setups you do, those will remain in this instance as it is. So yes. Say for example, I'll complete finance setups. I will remove financials from this project. Your setups will remain as it is in the instance. Or else we created this Amex implementation project and we completed all the setups. If I delete this implementation project, nothing will happen to my setups. Setups will remain as it is. Again, you can create one more implementation project. From that project, you can access all the setups which you completed from the different project. So project is just user interface. It will give you the option to navigate and to go to certain pages. Once you create something in any page from any project, that will get stored in the same table. Say you are creating invoice or you are doing some setup, and that information will go and store in the same table. Because you are doing setup from one project, it is not going to be stored in the different table. So everything is going to be stored in the same table. And that is the reason, even if you delete offering or option from your project, even if you delete entire project also, there is no issue with your setups, whatever you completed. If you look at this basic information, okay, if you look at this basic information, so except code, any field data you can change. If you want to change this project name or if you want to change the status, what is the status of the project? Not started. Okay, not started, and assign to Amex and start date and finish date. If you want to change anything, click on edit. Click on edit. You can change the project name at any point of time, but code you cannot change. Description you can change, and status you can change. Assignments and the start date, finish date at any point of time you can change. Say we are going to perform the setups within this project. Then you can update the status to in progress. Say, save and close. Now, if anybody look at this project, they can understand we started working on the financials related setups. And here also you can update the status. Within the project, you may have a financials, SCM, HCM, different offerings and options. To specify, you started working on which offering, you can set the status here also. You can click on not started status directly, you can click, or else you select this financial offering and you can click on edit status. And you can set the status in progress. If somebody will look at this project, they can understand we already started doing the setups within this project for financials. So you completed all the setups. If you complete all the setups, you can set the status as completed. So this is how you can update the status against the project. So you can set the status as a completed. So if anybody look at this project, they can understand. So let's keep it as in progress. We'll proceed further. Say we started doing the setups, then you can update the status as in progress. And within the financials folder, how system created task list, we will go and see. Okay. So system creates task list. Task list is nothing but list of setups, what we have to complete for each and every application. Expand financials. You can see different folders. So each folder will refer, most of the folders refers specific application. You see here, define invoicing and payment configuration, nothing but payables application. Define invoicing and payment configuration, nothing but payables application. By using this folder, you can complete payable related setups. By using this folder, you can complete payable related setups. The other folder refers expense. Define expense configuration. By using this folder, you can complete expense application setups. Means you can implement expense application. If you want to implement fixed assets, you have to use this folder. Within the folder, you can have a subfolders. Within the subfolders, you can have a tasks. Task is nothing but the setups which need to be completed to implement that application. The same way for receivables, and each and every application we have a separate folders. So let's expand payables folder. Expand it. So within the payables, again we have a subfolders. Wherever you see the folder option, folder icon that you call as a task list, you place the cursor on that folder icon. It is giving the title as task list. Okay, the pop-up you could see as a task list. It means inside of that folder, we have a list of tasks. We have a multiple tasks. I'm going to expand one of the task list called as define payables, just for our information purpose. We are not going to do anything now. Just we are trying to understand how system is creating this task list and all. Expand it. Okay, expand it. Define payables. So here you can see these are the different tasks. These are the different setups we have to complete to implement the payables application. The same way, here you can expand other task list. Here you can see certain setups. These are related to tax related setups. And you expand this task list. It contains few tasks. Okay. So you see here folder options, here the setups you can see as a notepad icon. So these are some relevant setups. So there will be some dependency and mandatory, and other setups what you see in the folder options, these setups may not be mandatory. If you are going to do the implementation, so these you may not. If you are implementing the relevant concept, then only you have to do the setups. But These setups are mandatory if you want to use the payables. Here you can see it's mandatory. Okay, they're given with a star mark. Okay, star mark means the setups what they listed in this notepad icon related section. Those are dependent setups. And again, those setups are mandatory. Without completing those setups, you cannot complete the payables implementation. This all will come to know just for information purpose. You can see all this here. So if you want to do any setup, simply you can click on go to task icon. Here is the task called as manage payment terms. What does it mean by manage payment terms? We will discuss all these points going forward. As of now, you can look at the task called as manage payment terms. If you want to create the payment terms, you can click on go to task icon. You can click on go to task icon. Here you can see all the payment terms which are already created. We can create our own payment terms. How to create, we will see as a part of payables application setups. So this is what we have to understand by looking at implementation project. Within the project, what are the offerings we have? Within those offerings, for each and every application, we have a relevant folders. So within that folders, you can find the task list. The folder also we call as a task list. Within that task list, you may have a subtask list. Within the subtask list, you can have a tasks. Task is the one which we perform as a setup in the system environment. So that's how you can set up every application. So this is what we have to understand when we talk about this task list. Say for example, we completed setups for payables. Yes, you can update the status for only payables. Invoicing and payment configuration is nothing but payables. You select it, click on edit status or click on edit. Directly you can click on the status itself and update the status to completed. Update the status to completed. Say save and close. So this is how you can update the status to specific task list or specific application.
Can we change the status from completed to in progress again if you want to do something?
Sorry?
Can we change the status again back to in progress from
Yes,
completed?
yes. You can
Anytime
change.
you can update the status.
Yes, you can. Just it's all about manual update. Based on the setups,
Okay.
what we do, system is not going to understand anything. Take example, payment terms. Payment terms we create to calculate the due dates. So I have to create 10 payment terms, but I created 2. System cannot understand how many payment terms I have to create as per my business. System is not going to update the status automatically. We have to update the status. And any status you want to set, you can set. You completed setups. If you want to set the status as it not started, yes, system will accept. So this is all we have to manage through manual process. There is no automation in the system where system can understand and system can control the status. No. We have to set everything through manual process. Okay. Set the status to maybe completed. This is how you can set the status. If you expand these payables, invoicing and payment configuration is nothing but payables. If you expand these payables, you can see here, okay, you can see what are the setups we have, and all setup system is marking as a completed. All setups are system is updating as a completed. And you can see here, it is showing those setups are assigned to Amex. Here project is assigned to Amex. That is the reason system is updating. These setups also assigned to Amex. Okay, these setups also assigned to Amex. You can override or you can assign to other user also. Let's see how to assign. I want to assign payables to another user, or else fixed assets I want to assign to another user. I can just select this task list for fixed assets, select it, Now click on assign tasks and click on add. And add user called as ERPTREE. Select ERPTREE, say apply, click on done. So we assigned ERPTREE. If you want to add few more users, you can add it. Okay, you can add it. Payables, I'm assigning to ERPTREE. That means payable setups need to be completed by ERPTREE user or ERPTREE team member. If I want to assign payables or fixed assets to multiple users, just add one more user or multiple users. That means you are assigning the specific application or task list to those users, and you can set the due date for, say, the fixed assets. Here also you can say the fixed assets we are assigning to ERPTREE. That ERPTREE user has to complete fixed asset setups by tomorrow. I can say save and close. Now, if you expand fixed assets, you can see the same information as you assign. See, so project level, we have a MX as an assignment. Along with that, for fixed assets, there is one more additional assignment, that is ERPTREE. So fixed assets we assign to ERPTREE user also. So this is how you can do the assignment, or else you can do the assignment at entire offering level also. Entire offering I want to assign to one user. Select, click on assign tasks. I want to assign this entire financials to one user, maybe XYZ. Let's check. Yes, XYZ employee. Click on that and set due date. Entire financial setups we are expecting this user will complete by 10th. So save and close. So this is how we can update the status, and you can assign entire offering to specific user or specific offering, or within the offering you can assign task list also. Say this is the payables, expand payables. I don't want to assign entire payables. Within the payables, I want to assign only define payables to one user. I can select define payables, click on assign tasks, add here, maybe ABC, search, select, apply, done. And this setup, only define payables related setups need to be completed by which date? That date you can provide as a due date. Maybe by 6th, the setup should be ready. So this is how we can assign. Okay, this is how we can assign. So this is all about creating implementation project and assigning offerings and options to team members, updating the status. In tomorrow's session, we'll just discuss few more points. So once we're done with that, we'll proceed with the next step. If you want to create the transactions in the system, what setups we have to create. Before creating the setup, we have to discuss about that information very detailed. Once we are done with that, we'll start working on the instance. We are done for today. If you have any questions, please stay back, we'll discuss. If no questions, we'll connect tomorrow same time. You can expect this video in 30 minutes in YouTube. Okay, we'll upload this video. Since these are very initial classes, we are uploading these videos in the YouTube. Going forward, we will place all the videos in the Google Drive, and you will get access to Google Drive, and you can download those videos from the Google Drive. So that's how it works. Thank you.